Jackrabbit, originally released in 1994 by Epic Mega Games, who you probably know nowadays as just Epic Games, and released on the MS-DOS. I like the fact that with this official version, it's basically just emulating DOS, and it still has the original advertisements for purchasing the game. You only had some of it and not all of it, or only had the demo version of it, which feels weird, but it's emulating MS-DOS, so nothing can really do. So the main premise is a parody of the Tortoise and the Hare story, with in this case, the villain, Devan decided to go to Karatis and kidnap their princess, Eva Earlong, which then sends out Jackrabbit, being the Hare, on the search to save her, but also saving all the various planets that Devan had conquered on the way to Karatis. Also, right off the bat, this game wants to really set itself apart from other kind of stories and stuff, because every single time you boot up the game, you have an unskippable intro where trying to highlight what kind of hero is needed for the story, and it has Jazz going through costumes for Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman before deciding on, no, this hero needs a hero with long ears and a big gun. So it is trying to set some apart while having its own unique flair, but also, you know, trying to be like, a usual story would have this, but not this one. I'm gonna get this issue off my chest right now before we continue in gameplay. Something I wish that this wasn't just an emulated MS-DOS version of the game, because what this game really needs is pretty much being naturally ported to HD, specifically for the screen space, because Jazz is always on the center of the screen, so whenever he jumps or does anything, the screen has to move with him, which can make platforming difficult because when he jumps, you'll probably be able to see the platforms anymore as a result because the screen goes with him. This also means that you can just get surprised by enemies because since they're always in the middle, there's not enough reaction time for you to see them coming unless you're just kind of tiptoeing a bit, which still isn't guaranteed for you to avoid those enemies. So right off the bat, I wish this game had a more native port that gave you way more screen space, or at least had Jazz not be dead center in the screen at all times. Now on to the main gameplay, which is a 2D platformer that emphasizes high speed. I guess a good way to look at it would be a combination of Sonic the Hedgehog and Mega Man. But what I really like is the fact that when there are points where you go fast, they mean they want you to go fast and gun fast, because there are some upgrades you can get in the game that not only affect like what ammo type you have, but can also make Jazz move faster or make it temporarily invincible, and man, they want you to blaze through, because Jazz reaches top speed very fast and very quickly, which, combined with the camera issues, is why I mentioned how you can actually run into things as a result, because of the fact that he is so fast. But with this speed, does make it better when it comes to just blitzing through levels, because levels do have a timer around 8 minutes when you start. You can get things to get more time, but ideally levels would probably be like 2 to 3 minutes in length in this game. So it's not a bad issue, but like I said, with the speed, they want to react and shoot fast, and it does feel good for the most part, although there are some enemies where you can be stuck in a situation where you just can't hit them and have to eat the hit. It just feels weird in some situations like that where your bullets are probably just a few pixels off, just not enough to reach the enemy, but Jazz also can't duck under the enemy, so you're just left taking a hit as a result. Another quirk of the controls is the fact that because Jazz runs fast, he has to pretty much decelerate himself fast. This results in Jazz basically at all times having kind of a bit of ice physics, because he won't come to a dead stop. He has to always stop himself a bit, so it can feel a bit jarring in that sense when it comes to controlling him. Although when this game does try to do an ice level, it just means, joke's on you game, I'm already used to this. So there's definitely terrifying with his movement. Like, overall, he feels great to control. My main issue is specifically when the game wants to do precision platforming, which, combined with the camera, trying to be precise is possible, but it does not feel comfortable, and also feels like the antithesis to how the game naturally wants you to play it. But you're getting different ammo types. Something that I love is that you keep all the ammo types and can actually pretty much cycle through them depending on when you actually need them. And if you beat a level, you can then keep the ammo types with you into the next level, and you only lose them if you pretty much die or waste them. Same with the power-ups, which include one that can be visible fast, but there's one that adds rapid fire. With the more you get of it, the better the rapid fire is. Or one that allows Jazz to jump higher, which honestly, that power up kind of sucks because it's very context sensitive to when you actually need that kind of power up. There is one cool power up, we get a hoverboard, which is always a fun one to have. So there's stuff like that. It's also this animal companion you can get some levels, although sadly it goes away to take a hit, but these are pretty cool power ups they put into the game that honestly are pretty dope. So I still wish that, like I said, the screen thing, it's my biggest pet peeve with the game, the fact that it feels like some hits are not your own fault. So this game has about 6 episodes, with each episode generally having 3 or so planets that you go through, and each planet generally having 2 levels. But on top of that, there are bonus levels you can get if you find like a certain red item, which has like this pseudo 3D perspective, which should help you gain extra life, which, I'm not gonna lie, for a hidden level, can expect more of a reward than a single extra life, but extra lives are kind of valuable, kind of not, because you can just continue forever if you want, if you dive on a level, but hey, at least it's something. There are also hidden levels, which can have their own unique gimmicks. I found literally none of them. In fact, I only found out they exist or looking things up. Damn it. But that's a lot to do for the game. I know it's like a relatively short game, but they try to pack in a lot of content as they can for this game, including also the bonus levels after you finish the main campaign as well, and of course the holiday level, which is all Christmas themed and has like these renditions of several Christmas tracks, like one big Christmas track. It's freaking cool. There are also boss battles at the end of each episode, which honestly, they just kind of exist. They don't really add much of anything. The final one for episode 6, that one was an actual pretty cool challenge, but the rest are, let's just say, the levels themselves are going to be infinitely more difficult than the actual boss fights. Like, they're just kind of like there's not really much to say about them. As for levels themselves, I do like the fact that levels have various routes you can go through, although there are some levels that do want to go you to a specific route, where even though there's optional goodies to find, they do want to go to a certain route with them having arrows pointing you on where to go. Although sometimes it can feel weird, because I remember one level where there's an arrow pointing me to where to go, where there was another arrow pointing the opposite direction that was comprised of little gun ammo, so I was not sure which arrow should I follow, which ended up having me spend that level for longer than I would like to be on, because it's also one of my least favorite levels the entire game. It's also one water level, which they try to do a cool idea of the water level, which to constantly increase the water elevation while going through, although that's the one level that could have used the arrows to indicate where you should go, and somehow feels like the only level in the game without those arrows. So the one time I feel like could be really useful, it ends up not being there, so there's that weird aspect to the game. I also found crazy in hindsight for this game is the fact that the 2D platformer with no bottomless pits at all. Like, if you get put anywhere, you always be able to go back to earlier part of the level or progress, which is something I really thought about in hindsight, that there's just no bottomless pits or anything like that. So I don't feel like anything like that. There are stage hazards that can kill you, but there's nothing like, oh, here's instant death. Like, nothing like that, surprisingly, especially for a 2D platformer for the 90s. Kind of surprising, but very cool and welcome, really. Jackrabbit is just a cool 2D platformer that I wish could get like a more native port, because like I said, my main issue with the camera issues could be resolved at a more native port. I'm surprised it hasn't really done more with this game. I believe Epic Games still owns the rights to it, and there was a third game back in the day, Big Man, that got cancelled, although they make a third game on the Game Boy Advance. Neither here nor there. I also want to talk about this, not just because Jackrabbit is a cool game, not just because it also helped kickstart the careers of people like Tim, Sweeney, and Bleszinski, but also because back in the day, my family only had the Shareware version with Hare on it and nothing else. So I want to be able to actually play the full game of Jackrabbit, which is possible because it got released on GOG, and man, it was worth it. And Hare is still freaking cool. So this for me is also the idea of playing a game that I never got the chance to actually play the full game of, but always remember as a kid as being this cool game and going back and enjoy it. And that's one of the cool things. That's one of the dope things when it comes to games being preserved. The fact that they even have the chance to do that. Granted, like I said, the GOG release is effectively just an MS-DOS emulator, complete with even having the same "please call this number" or "send mail here" in order to get the full copy of Jackrabbit CD message whenever you close the game. But it's cool that it's still here, and that's why having old games be around is freaking cool. So anyway, Jackrabbit, freaking dope. Just a dope-ass game, and Hare is still freaking cool. That's what I have to say about it. Just one of those games I want to revisit from my past and be like, huh, was this game ever really cool? And the answer is, yeah. Anyway, that's all.